My name is Daniel Weiss. I was born in Boston in 1982, a child of silence, raised under the weight of my Polish Jewish mother's unspoken grief. Her grandparents perished in Auschwitz, their sepia-toned photographs haunting our home, frozen faces that seemed to watch me through the years, their eyes too fragile, too knowing. Their deaths were never discussed, only alluded to in whispers, as if speaking their names might summon something unhealed. That silence carved me into a seeker, a documentarian drawn to the world's darkest corners. Chernobyl's skeletal ruins, the massacred village of Oradour-sur-Glane, the blood-soaked earth of Cambodia's killing fields. But one place I avoided until 2023. In late September, a nonprofit funding Holocaust preservation granted me resources to produce Ashes and Echoes, a documentary centered on Auschwitz-Birkenau, the Nazi death machine that devoured over 1 million souls. I arrived in Auschwitz in Poland on October 6, 2023, under a sky bruised purple and heavy with the first bite of autumn. The town felt like a husk. Modern storefronts and quiet streets suffocated by an invisible weight, as if the air itself remembered. I checked into a guest house less than a mile from the camp. The elderly owner, her face creased like old parchment, handed me the key and muttered, "If you dream of them, don't follow. They don't forgive." Her eyes lingered too long. I forced a smile, but my stomach churned. The next morning I passed beneath the iron lie of Auschwitz one's gate. Arbeit macht frei. Work sets you free. The words mocked me, burned into metal as my boots crunched the gravel. The camp was eerily silent, save for the faint hum of tourists' murmurs during the day. I had special permission from the museum board to film after hours, alone, capturing long exposure shots and infrared data in the dead of night. For 2 nights it was routine, unsettling, but manageable. Then came October 9th. That evening I entered Block 11, the death block, just as the sun bled into the horizon. This was where prisoners were tortured, starved, or executed in cramped standing cells. The air inside was wrong, colder than the October chill outside, though the heaters hummed. My breath fogged instantly, curling like smoke. My flashlight flickered, its beam weakening as I set up my camera on a tripod. Then a sound, a heavy door slamming shut at the corridor's end. My pulse spiked. I checked every door, all ajar, rusted hinges unmoving. But the air grew heavier, as if something had entered the space with me. I panned my camera toward the narrow stone hallway leading to the basement, where the Nazis first tested Zyklon B. That's when I heard it, a child's whimper, soft and broken, echoing from below. Not a scream, but a sound so small, so human it clawed into my chest. I'm not a man who scares easily, but this stopped me cold. My hand shook as I gripped the flashlight, its light now a sickly yellow. I descended the stairs, each step groaning like a warning. The air grew denser, pressing against my ribs. In the starvation cell area, my body felt like it was wading through tar. Then I saw her. A girl no older than 10 stood in one of the brick-walled cells. Her shaved head gleamed pale under my faltering light, her striped uniform hanging off her skeletal frame like a shroud. Her eyes locked onto mine, black, unreflective voids that swallowed the flashlight's beam. My throat tightened. She opened her mouth, lips parting in slow motion, but no sound came. Yet inside my skull, a voice whispered sharp and clear, "Your family. Why did you abandon us?" She vanished, not faded, gone as if the air had swallowed her. I hadn't blinked. I hadn't breathed. My legs buckled and I stumbled back, vomiting bile onto the frost-dusted grass outside Block 11. When I checked my camera, it had shut off. The battery, at 80% when I started, was dead in under 5 minutes. I barely slept that night, the guest house walls creaking with sounds I couldn't place. I considered fleeing Poland, but something held me, a pull I couldn't name, like a hand gripping my spine. I had to go back. On October 10th, I set up in Crematorium 1, now a sterile museum space. I brought an EVP recorder, a tool used by ghost hunters to capture disembodied voices. I placed it beneath the ceiling's Zyklon B chute, where poison once rained down. I left it running overnight, expecting nothing but static. At 3:17 a.m., the recorder captured footsteps, slow, dragging like bare feet scraping stone. Then a voice, male, hoarse in German. Ich war ein Vater. I was a father. It was followed by a wet, choking gasp, then a scream, guttural, distorted, like a throat torn apart. The audio waveform spiked red when I played it back, as if my software recoiled. The file ended in a hiss that sounded like whispered names. I played the recording for Mr. Tadeusz, an 89-year-old Polish-Jewish volunteer who'd survived Auschwitz as a boy. His hands shook as he listened through headphones. "That voice," he whispered, eyes wet. "It's my father's brother. We never knew how he died." He wouldn't look at me after that. By October 12th, I was unraveling, sleep-deprived, haunted by the weight of what I'd seen. But I needed closure. That night I walked from Birkenau back to Auschwitz I along the railway tracks where trains once delivered the condemned. I turned off my flashlight, letting the moon's pale light guide me. The air was thick, the silence unnatural. Then I heard it. Boots, hundreds, marching in lockstep, crunching gravel in a rhythm that vibrated through my bones. I spun around, nothing but empty tracks stretching into the dark. The sound grew louder, closer, until it felt like the marchers were steps behind me. I stopped, heart hammering. That's when I saw them, silhouettes faint as smoke gliding through the tracks, not on them. Emaciated figures in striped uniforms, heads bowed, arms dangling lifelessly. Their forms flickered like a dying film reel. One turned to me. His face was a skull, eyes hollowed into black pits that seemed to drink the moonlight. His mouth opened and a voice roared in my head, not my ears. "Remember us." The others turned, their heads snapping in unison. Dozens of eyeless gazes bore into me. My legs gave out and I collapsed, sobbing. Not from fear, but from a grief so vast it felt like it belonged to 1,000 souls. The air pulsed with their presence, their pain, their rage. When I staggered back to the guest house at dawn, I found something that broke me. Muddy footprints, small and barefoot, trailed across my room's floor, leading to my bed. The sheets were crumpled as if someone had sat there waiting. I hadn't locked the door, but I lived alone. Back in the States, I tried to bury it all. The footage, the audio, the memories. They're sealed in a hard drive, locked in a box, buried in my basement. I never finished Ashes and Echoes. I can't. The files hum with something alive, something that doesn't want to be seen. But it's not over. At night I hear them, whispers in the walls, footsteps behind me, a child's sob in the dark. Last week I found handprints, small, pale, impossibly perfect, on my bathroom mirror, fogged as if someone had breathed on it. I live alone. I went to Auschwitz to document history, but history isn't just the past. It breathes, it watches, it follows. And when you stare into its shadows, it stares back, hungry, unyielding, and forever awake.